Now we are pretty close. Welcome back to Living with a Classic and a pretty cold workshop. It's been snowing the past couple of days, and unfortunately I don't have the new heating system in the workshop installed yet. It's on order. I just had issues with because you need two separate people to install it. One person to do the electrical part and one person to do the fill it with refrigerant because it's an inverter. So that should hopefully happen in the next couple of weeks, and we'll have some nice heat in here and I won't have to wear all these layers and old coats to stay warm in the workshop. But today is the day. Today's the day that the new to me engine goes into the XJ6. I'm really excited to be able to drive this car again. But I think in order to even get it out of here, we'll have to put winter tires on, but that's not going to be an issue. So the goal for today is to get that engine in place, sitting on the engine mounts, transmission mount connected, prop shaft, all of that underneath, and then basically just the ancillaries to go. I won't do all of that on camera. Today we're just going to put the engine in place, and then until the next episode I will put on carbs, cooling system, all of that, and then the next time you see this car will be a first start of this engine in the car. But I'll show you guys what I've done off camera before this episode. Not too much has been going on off camera, but I've cleaned up the transmission. That looks a lot better. I just degreased a few other things. Once again, not going for perfection. It's a daily driver. Same with the engine bay. I talked about, painting it, and I've decided not to for two reasons. One, it's a daily driver, and I think it sort of looks good enough. I'll just rust proof some areas and clean some other areas up a little bit. Second, it's just too cold. I cannot get this workshop warm enough to paint successfully. I mean, to paint you need at least 10 or 15 degrees Celsius. I can't get it that warm in here, so it would just not be a good job. However, I have cleaned up some things, removed most of the caked on grease and things. Whatever's left on there, I'm calling that rust proofing. Daily driver, I don't want this thing to rust, so I think that is a good thing. Other thing I've done is I have flushed through the heater core just to make sure that's nice and clean inside. And I've blown through everything with compressed air as well. You may be wondering, why have I done that? Well, this engine has been run on Evans waterless coolant. And I collected all of that when I removed it from the donor car, and I bought some extra. So I'm going to run this thing on Evans waterless coolant, which would be a fun experiment. And this should be good for these engines with the similar metals, no corrosion in there. Also, it's the life of the engine coolant, never have to replace it. Also, it doesn't pressurize the same pressure, so it's less strenuous on other parts of the engine, so should be good. But other thing I've done is I've replaced one of the motor mounts so far. We will do the other one on camera. The old ones, there was nothing wrong with them, but might as well replace them now. They hardly cost anything, and if I wouldn't replace them, I bet you one of them would go bad in a while, just because Murphy's Law. But got this one in place, and I'll show you how I did it with the other one. Just for comparison, here is the old mount, here's the new mount. Can't really see any difference. These weren't really collapsed or anything. But like I said, they're very cheap. Might as well replace them now, and I'll keep these in a good use pile. I'm sorry if you hear a little bit of a weird background hum or disturbance. That is because I'm running a fan, a heater fan, just to get a little bit more heat in here. I have so far doubled the temperature in the workshop from being here, so it's working, but I'm sorry about that noise. It's just, I gotta survive at least. Now, I sit down here with a nut on the bottom, and you can sort of screw them into place. However, after a while, you run into the problem that even if you hold it with a wrench, you can't turn that. So I found that one of these adjustable oil filter wrench tools with just a piece of rubber on it works really well. Let's put that over there. And let's get the wrench on the nut in here. And you can basically just twist it on. And there we go. That's very, very tight now. So that's a good tip. That works really well. You can, of course, otherwise just put like a double nut up on here and twist it down. But oh, this works pretty well. Now everything in here is pretty much ready to go. I'm just going to move some things out of the way a little bit, wiring and other things, get some zip ties, move that out. And we'll also remove these two sealing rings on the exhaust. They're a lot easier to remove now. I'll replace them, and then the engine is pretty much ready to hopefully just slide in. And here we go, ready to put it in place. Hopefully everything goes well, because I had to do some different things also when I removed this engine. I can show you later when it's in, but they're lifting hooks and they're a little bit different on the early engine. However, whoever put this engine together put the front lifting hook all the way up front. It's supposed to be on the second one back, and the same here, which means I can't get the chains on here, so I'll have to do with a strap. And I have this yachting rope, sailing rope, which is rated for 8 tons, so not an issue. And it's been hanging in that for a couple weeks now. But it makes it so that I can't have this as far down, so we have the low ceiling here. But hopefully I can get everything into place. So I'm going to try and push forward and guide it at the same time. Can you guys see that? There's like a millimeter there. Pretty good guesstimate right there. Problem is, I am too far over that way with the crane. I'll hit the front wheel, so I'm gonna turn it a little bit. And now we are past this here, so I can just go forward a little bit. Transmission is just above the engine mounts here, but we'll go forward a little bit, and then we can start raising it and changing the angle. Oh, too close to that wheel again. Should I go back a little bit? And now we're doing pretty well. The back of the transmission is at the firewall, but I'll bring you guys in for a closer look. Even with a good engine crane like this one, I'm really happy with my purchase. This is a heavy beast to push around with the transmission. But you see, we are past this point, which means I can raise it. But I don't think I'll need to raise it that much more, just a little bit more. But firstly, I need to angle it down so that that part goes down into the transmission tunnel. The one thing I forgot to mention is I removed the end of the drive shaft, which is still on there, which I'd marked, and put it on the drive shaft so everything goes together more easily, I hope. And I did remember to put the nice cleaned up earth cable on there, And I have cleaned up the air point down there as well. Oh, I think we'll change the angle now, raise it a little bit. So we'll go down there and so that the sump clears the engine mounts. And we're, I mean, it's not that far off, hopefully. All right, this time I did prepare a bit. I got a ratchet that will fit on here. So, gotta go the other way. Yeah, not too much though. But there we go. That goes down. We'll do a little bit more and then we'll raise it as well. Something like that. We're going to raise it a bit so we don't hit the engine mounts. I think we're pretty much free there. We'll push it in a little bit more. Now we are pretty close. I think we actually need to angle a bit more because I can't lower it because then we'll still hit those engine mounts. Okay, going very well, except I think I'm hitting part of the front suspension with the engine crank. Let's see what I'm hitting. No, I am hitting my jack on this side. I have the car raised a little bit on both sides to be able to get that thing underneath my front suspension, but I think I can remove it for a little bit now. I know once the engine settles down, I'll probably have to raise the car a little bit again. Okay, now we can lower it. And she's sliding in there. Doing very well. Just need to move the cable here for the starter so that doesn't get tangled up in something. And we're very close back here now. But the sump is pretty much past the engine mounts. I think we can change the angle again. Start angling things down and it should slide into place. Okay, can lower it a little bit now again because we dropped the transmission up, so it's about to touch the top of the transmission tunnel again. And it's actually sliding forward, which is excellent. There we go. Now we are past the power steering rack. And I think we can just mostly go down now. Okay, we're right above the engine mount there. And on this side, we're too far over. Okay, so I have to take it up a little bit and move the engine this way. A little bit more. Well, I got caught on the hard lines for the transmission cooler on the engine mount. Let's see. Okay, we are so incredibly close now. Okay, right above the mount there, and on that side as well. Right now is time when being two people would be pretty good, but all right, we slid onto that engine mount and pull it back a little bit on this side. We're in. We're on both the engine mounts. I'm just going to take it up a tiny bit from the back. And there we go. We're pretty much there. We're sitting on the engine mount. I'm just going to put a jack underneath the transmission in the back, raise that up a little bit, and then we can put the hardware down, the nuts on the engine mount, and the engine is pretty much in place. And that's it for today's video, and now the engine is in place. A big milestone. Of course, there's a lot left to do, but it is sitting on the engine mounts and they're tightened down. The transmission is still supported by the jack in the back, but I'm going to put all that back in place a little bit later. I need to go inside and warm up, but this is completely loose now. I'm just going to tighten it up a little bit more with the crane so that in case the jack fails, this doesn't bump back, as you see, into the firewall. So I'm going to change the angle to here and then raise that up just while I'm inside warming up, and I'll come out probably a little bit later today, put more things on, get the transmission sorted, and then it's carbs, ignition system, radiator, new water pump, and a few other things. So next time you see this car and this engine, we should be able to turn the key, fire it up for the first time in this car, see how it runs, and I don't know, probably not go for a test drive right then because it's snowing now again. We have so much, and snow is normally not an issue. It's just there's so many big drifts out here. I don't think I can get out of the workshop. So we'll maybe do some other projects on this car. There are a few other things I do want to fix. So we'll see what happens after the next video. But I hope you guys liked this one and that you liked seeing that you can't put one of these engines in yourself. It is sometimes useful to be two people, but nothing bad happened. It went into place and all is well. Anyways, if you like this video, please give a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. Until next time, I'm Adam, and this was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.